Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel that is a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel, which I'll go through in just a moment. And I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @DougPless. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options, order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be talking about setups in an underlying asset, and those setups can be taken any number of ways. For example, the S&P 500 setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel in Discord as well as the chat in YouTube for your questions and comments. And just a couple of quick housekeeping tips. First of all, Bookmap Discord is free and available to everyone. Whether you are a Bookmap subscriber or not, there's a lot of great content there, both my channel, of course, and many other channels. And then also for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I am streaming at 1080p. So if you have any issues with screen resolution, you can go into the settings for your stream and set it to 1080p. All right, here's my agenda for today, Thursday, October 26th. First of all, I'm going to go over news items for today and for the rest of the week. That would be economic data, events, and earnings. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups for this morning, and then we'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know, and I'll be glad to take a look at those stocks. All right, let's start with news items for today. So first of all, we'll go over economic data. So there were several items released this morning. First of all, durable goods at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That came out better than expected, better than forecast. Also, GDP came out also better than expected and better than previous. And then finally, this core PCE came out lower than forecast and lower than previous. So I guess from an economic point of view, all those items were good. Inflation coming down slightly in GDP and durable goods orders increasing. All right, the market initially interpreted that data as positive. This is 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, the reaction to the data. Bullish. And we'll talk more about this in a few minutes. Then after the cash open, traders had another opinion of the data, and the S&P 500 has been moving down since then. All right, so that was the economic data this morning. Also, Meta did report earnings after the close yesterday. We'll take a look at Meta when I get to the setup review. So Meta, the earnings apparently were much better than expected, but in this bearish market, Meta is not doing too well, at least the last time I looked. All right, so then the last upcoming economic data and earnings events. Amazon reports after the market closes. I'll look at Amazon as well, and we'll see how options traders are positioning themselves in the market before the earnings this afternoon. And then finally, Friday wraps up the week with the 8:30 a.m. PCE data. All right, just a note about next week. The FOMC meeting and announcement is on Wednesday, concludes at Wednesday with the announcement at 2 p.m. and then the press conference at 2:30 p.m. So Spotgamma is really looking for kind of a maybe a tone change after the FOMC meeting. All right, so Truman says Meta blew earnings out of the water. A perfect time for it to drop like a rock overnight. So it, currently it depends on current market sentiment, and right now traders don't have any interest in owning large cap tech stocks, apparently. So that's the current market environment. All right, so they liked Microsoft earnings also, but it was Microsoft is kind of joining the party to the downside. All right, so that is the economic data and earnings events coming up. All right, let's talk about positional analysis now. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the ES futures and Bookmap. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a larger time frame. I'm going to go to a 30-day 1-hour chart and point out the turning points. And this is the 9/15, September 15th options expiration call dominated. Those calls that were stabilizing the market expired and the downtrend began and reversed higher. October 6th, jobs report, gamma squeeze, found resistance as Treasury yields started to move higher, and Hamas invaded Israel, and then the downtrend looked like it might reverse higher with the October expiration, that was last Friday, the 20th, in a very negative gamma put dominated expiration that only lasted for a couple days, and now the downtrend continues. All right, so those are the key turning points and potential turning points. And so far, the expected put Vanna rally after the October expiration, negative gamma put dominated did not really take place. And the I guess the macroeconomic data and events are just too much. All right, let's take a look at some levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. That is updated once a week, and SPX is trading below that level now. All right, so that's the dashed purple lines, the weekly expected move. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. That changes every day. That's based on the options market. Both are based on the options market. And note that SPX is also trading below the lower daily expected move. All right, let me point out the Spotgamma levels on this chart. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels, gamma weighted open interest, proprietary to Spotgamma, available to Spotgamma subscribers. Let me point out the key daily levels. First of all, 4,000. That is the absolute gamma strike. That's the strike with the largest absolute negative and positive gamma. That level has been oscillating between 4,000 and 4,300. So yesterday it moved up to 4,300 and now is back down to 4,000. So that's the absolute gamma strike. That's where most of the gamma weighted open interest is concentrated at this time. Then the next level is the put wall at 4,200. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support, and SPX is trading well below that level now. And note that level did hold from yesterday, so 4,200 does remain the put wall. Then above that is 4,300. That's the volatility trigger. That is Spotgamma's proprietary gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. And note that the SPX, but the S&P 500 and NASDAQ are in a very, and also the Russell 2000, are in a very negative gamma environment, and that can lead to very large moves, sudden moves, large downtrends. It's not necessarily a directional bias, but definitely a volatility indicator of to expect high volatility, wide trading ranges. And then finally, the call wall, way up at 4,500. That's a strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. That level did move up from yesterday, and it moved up from 4,400 yesterday. Let me check that. 4,400 yesterday to 4,500. So quite a range there between the absolute gamma strike at 4,000 and the call wall at 4,500. So for SPX, the shifts at levels, call wall shifted higher, absolute gamma strike shifted lower. All right, let's take a look at a shorter time frame SPX chart just to see the levels that are in play for today. So here's SPX. I'm showing a couple of days worth of data showing the downtrend that began yesterday, and this is the upper daily expected move for today, not yesterday. So this downtrend began, and this was a 42.22 was a noted as a support level in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note yesterday, and it acted as resistance. So that was yesterday. The downtrend continues now below the lower daily expected move, showing the dashed blue line, and also this lower weekly expected move that appears to be acting as resistance now. So we'll watch and see if SPX can make it up above that level. And that's also a combo L3 level right there at 41.49 that combines SPX and SPY gamma weighted open interest into one combined level shown in terms of SPX price. And note, here's the put wall up above at 4,200. So SPX has been above it, below its put wall all day today. All right, this is the ES futures in Bookmap. I have my own cloud notes, so I can show SPX levels Here's the 4150 support level and that 4149 combo level just below that. I also have SPY levels on this chart. So here's the 415 level, large gamma 2 level. And note for SPY, the put wall did shift lower. It's now down at 410. So I have SPX levels, SPY levels, and then also the lower daily and weekly expected moves for ES, a little bit different than the SPX. And then also the round numbers, 50 and zeros for ES. And note that the ES 4200 did act as resistance this morning. All right, note there is a difference between the price of ES and SPX. That changes a little bit every day. This morning I was using 21, and it looks like right now it may be closer to 20. So ES minus SPX gets a little bit smaller every day until the contract rollover, then it changes. So right now I'm using 21, but it may be closer to 20 right now. All right, so those are the levels in play for the S&P 500 today. We'll take a look at setups in a few minutes. So mainly this SPY 417 level and also the ES 4200 level acting as resistance, and then support really yet to be determined for the day, potentially at 4150 and SPY 412. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. Let's go to NASDAQ. And again, we'll take a look at setups in a few minutes so to see how these levels could have been used in setups. All right, this is NASDAQ NQ futures and Bookmap. And pretty similar chart to the S&P 500 reversal just around the cash open, and that was at this combo level up here, as well as QQQ 350. 350 is the put wall, the absolute gamma strike for QQQ. Let's go take a look at that. We'll take a look at a QQQ chart so we can isolate the levels for QQQ. Here's that 350 level. That's the put wall and absolute gamma strike. And note the absolute gamma strike for QQQ did shift lower from yesterday. So now down at 350. And again, also the put wall, so QQQ trading well below its put wall. And there also is a combo level there that combines NDX and QQQ, gamma weighted open interest, into one combined level. In this chart shown in terms of QQQ price. And we'll take a look at an NDX chart. And here it is in terms of an NDX price, that combo L1 level, one being the most important. And I'm showing multiple days of data here to show this downtrend that began yesterday. It appears that the market was not happy with Google earnings, and now they're punishing all of the large cap tech stocks. All right, so NDX trading below its volatility trigger and call wall. All right, so for NDX, there were no shifts in levels. QQQ, the volatility trigger, and absolute gamma strike shifted lower. Or let's go back to Bookmap, NQ futures. So again, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show NDX levels And there is a QQQ level there as well, the 350 level, that it acted as resistance just after the cash open. All right, so that's the main level in play, and NQ trading below its lower daily and weekly expected move today. And here's the 14,000 put wall. That's the NDX 14,000 put wall down there below. All right, so those, again, we'll take a look at setups in a few minutes. So those are the levels in play for the NASDAQ today. All right, let's take a look at gamma notional to see how market makers were positioned in the options market at the beginning of the day. This is gamma notional, market makers position on the gamma curve. And actually, I'm going to take a look. I've started looking at Russell as well, the Russell 2000. So we'll take a look at the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Russell 2000. So we'll see that IWM does have significant negative gamma. All right, so let's take a look at, first of all, SPX, SPY. We'll ignore NDX, it's not significant. QQQ, RUT, and IWM, all very negative. And note these numbers did all shift lower from yesterday after the drop yesterday. So what this means is traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and market makers have to trade with a price to hedge their delta exposure. So let's see how that works with the Vanna model. This is the SPX Vanna model. What this chart is showing is delta notional on the vertical axis, price on the horizontal axis. There are two curves on this chart. The light gray curve shows how market makers delta notional changes with changes in price only. And the purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. That's showing how market makers delta notional changes with changes in price and implied volatility. And that change in delta with a change in implied volatility is the Vanna effect. Vanna is a second order Greek. Remember, market makers always want to remain delta neutral. So this is showing how they may have to hedge with changes in price and implied volatility. So let's see where SPX is trading now. So right around 41, 42, 43. So that's way up on this gamma curve here. So what this is showing, as price has been dropping today, market makers delta notional will increase. And when delta notional increases, traders are buying SPX, SPY puts, market makers are selling the puts, and they have to, and also just prices moving lower, the puts that they're already short are gaining in delta, and they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. All right, back to 41, 43. On the other hand, if price starts to increase, price is increasing, implied volatility drops, market makers can buy back their short futures. That's a put Vanna rally. So this works both ways. But again, this curve is very typical of a very negative gamma environment, indicating market makers will have to trade pretty aggressively with price up and down. Always important to know, to anticipate what kind of movement may be in the market, may be in store for the market during the day. Something that I look at every day. All right, the next, let's take a look at SPY. Take a look at the Vanna model for SPY. SPY currently trading right around 413. Right up here on the gamma curve as well. So as price has been dropping today, market makers have had to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. And if price starts to increase, implied volatility drops, they can buy back their short futures. Take a look at QQQ. 344. Very high up on this gamma curve here. Finally, IWM. And IWM trading right around 164, slightly higher on the day. So far, IWM is slightly positive for the day. All right, so that's the Vanna model, very negative gamma. All these curves, typical of, again, a very negative gamma environment. Market makers having to trade aggressively with price to hedge their delta exposure. All right, so my thesis for the day was, first of all, for higher volatility. And the shifts end levels for the S&P 500 was mixed. Call walls moving higher, SPX absolute gamma strike moving lower, as well as the put wall for SPY, kind of mixed. So slightly bearish for the S&P 500, and then for QQQ, absolute gamma strike and the volatility trigger shifted lower for QQQ. So really the key for today, and I guess up until at least the FOMC meeting next week, is to watch, first of all, VIX or VX futures, whichever you prefer. Also watch the 10-year yield, which is actually dropping today. So it's down about 2% today, down right now to 4.84, not seeming to make much of a difference today. So watching volatility, 10-year, and also we'll take a look in just a moment the hero signal for the Magnificent Seven. This is a new signal from Spotgamma combining all of the stocks and then Magnificent Seven into an indicator that appears to be a very good leading indicator. And when we get to the setups for the NASDAQ, we'll take a look at the hero indicator for Magnificent Seven, which is actually seems to be a better indicator than the hero for the NASDAQ. All right, so speaking of hero, let's get to that now. So let's take a look at some setups. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the hero signal, hedging impact real-time options. So everything that we've looked at in Spotgamma so far, of course Bookmap is real-time, but everything that we've looked at in Spotgamma is static data that I use in my planning process. And then this is part of my execution, the real-time looking at this hero signal again. Hero is the hedging impact real-time options. So what this chart is showing is price for SPX and the hero signal showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal for SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, all into one combined signal. And note this hero signal after about 10 a.m. has been choppy but steadily increasing. And this number, the notional value for today, is positive 2.5 billion. All right, let's zoom in on this chart. So there were several setups looking at this. First of all, right around 9:45 is short, just following the options traders. And then along, then a short again. Keeping in mind when traders are buying and selling calls and puts, SPX, SPY, XSP, ES, market makers are taking the other side and they're buying and selling futures to hedge their delta exposure. So this has been a very good indicator, directional indicator for price. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. So we have an initial short, then a long, somewhere between 10 and 10:45, and then a short shortly after that, somewhere between 10:45 and 11. And just before we do that, let's see what traders are doing today in terms of puts and calls. So this is very typical of an index. Traders buying calls, that's shown by the rising orange line. They've been buying calls pretty much since 10 a.m. Sorry about that, nothing I did. Just an issue with Hero. So they've been buying calls, and they've also been buying puts. So call buyers are more aggressive. Note the notional value there is higher, 2.66 billion positive versus minus 819 million. Let's make sure we're all the way out. And one thing to note here, traders have continued to buy calls. They started kind of leveled off during launch here, then started buying calls again somewhere around 12:15, 12:30, and now it appears that they are selling puts. So for right now, the put and call line are going in the same direction, and Spotgamma has noted that's a very bullish signal when both the put and call line are going in the same direction. So let's review the setups from this morning, and then we'll take a look at what's going on right now. Let's go back to Bookmap, take a quick look at the setups this morning. So here's let's go back to the S&P 500. Again, the reaction after the data this morning, all good. And then at the cash open around 9:45, the aggressive sellers started to come in. These are volume dots showing market buy orders. Green dots show more buy than sell orders, and magenta dots are just the opposite, more sellers than buyers. And the aggressive sellers come in as options traders were taking negative delta positions. Move price lower, price consolidates. Then just after 10:30, the aggressive buyers come in. And remember that options traders started taking positive delta positions right around 10 a.m. or so. And then finally, there's this final sort of washout, final move lower. Stop runs to the downside, shown by that red dot there. Sell stop orders, and aggressive buyers come in, move price pretty quickly up to the 4,200 level, and then the aggressive sellers start to come in again. All right, so those are the morning setups: long, short, or short, long, short. If you're looking after at the cash open, short, long, short, confirmed by order flow and Bookmap, as well as hedging flow with Spotgamma Hero. All right, right now we know that traders are, last time we looked at Hero, buying calls and selling puts. That's a very bullish signal. And right around this 4150 level, aggressive buyers started to come in again. And for this to really move higher, it would take it at some point. It looks like it would need you would need stop orders to help the fuel to move higher. More significant buy stop orders than that, as well as maybe some large traders buying with iceberg orders to help to fuel that move higher. Zoom in just a bit, and the order book here is showing history of resting orders in the order book. Sell orders there right around 41.65, as well as large traders with iceberg orders, and more limit sell orders in the order book right around 41.70, and that's the 41.49 C3 level for SPX. All right, so we'll see if the aggressive buyers as well as the option traders can push it above that liquidity in those levels. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. Whoops. All right, so very similar pattern to S&P 500. Aggressive buyers up to the cash open, shown by the green volume dots. Then the aggressive sellers come in, very clear resistance at the QQQ 350 level, as well as this 367 combo 1 level. And then aggressive sellers start to come in. Also sell stop orders, fueling the move lower. Large traders fighting with iceberg orders. So sell stop orders, fueling the move lower, and large traders with iceberg orders, that's shown by the blue line, light blue line, taking the other side and buying weakness. So there's a short, then a long, then a short again, just like the S&P 500. All right, let's go take a look at Hero and see what options traders are doing. All right, so first I'm going to look at the NASDAQ signal. This is a combined signal for NDX and QQQ, and this has been bullish. Traders taking positive delta positions all day long. Let's take a look at this new Mag 7, Magnificent 7, which has been really more closely correlated to price for the NASDAQ, since these 7 stocks shown here, Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Nvidia and Tesla make up a large component of the NASDAQ, as well as the S&P 500, but a larger component of the NASDAQ. And for a large part, these stocks often drive price. So this hero signal for the Magnificent 7, here's the short, long, short again, and now starting around 1 o'clock, looks like the dip buyers are coming in the Magnificent 7, taking positive delta positions. Let's see what they're doing. So they started buying calls more aggressively right around 12:30, shown by the rising orange line. Then around 1 o'clock they started selling puts. So in this case we have again the put and call line rising, moving in the same direction. Traders buying calls and selling puts. Very powerful signal, in this case bullish. Let's go take a look at NASDAQ. Another potential double bottom here. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. And what I did this morning, let's go back to Hero. So with a market weakness, I ranked my watch list by Hero signal from weakest to strongest. So what this is showing, it compares this compares the Hero signal for today, that's shown by the dot, with the last 30 days, that's shown by the entire length of the slider, as well as the last 5 days, that's shown by the colored portion. So this is showing Microsoft, the Hero signal, is the weakest that it has been in the last 5 days and the last 30 days. It is on the lower end of the slider. So we'll take a look at Microsoft first. And traders have been taking negative delta positions for most of the day. Here's the 340 key gamma strike. Oops, wrong tool. That it acted as resistance this morning. All right, let's go take a look at Microsoft and Bookmap. And Wavy, yeah, I'll get to NVIDIA. Got a couple of other stocks I want to take a look at. So let's go to Bookmap, go to Microsoft. All right, Microsoft, there's the 340 key gamma strike. Price opened just above that. Excuse me. Note the very negative opening print shown by the large magenta dot. As traders were taking negative delta positions. Let me tone that down just a little bit. Price moved lower, all the way down to 327, now maybe consolidating as traders are starting to buy calls and sell puts in the Magnificent Seven. All right, so that's Microsoft. Let's take a look at, let's go back to the list. The order of the list has changed a little bit. So the next on the list that I want to take a look at is Netflix. Let's zoom in just a bit. All right, so Netflix in the morning, definitely bearish. Traders taking negative delta positions. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. And so far, up until today, Netflix seems to have resisted this move lower, maybe succumbing today. There's Netflix. Let's go back and check for gamma levels. All right, 420, the call wall up above. And then 410 is the put wall and the hedge wall. So there's the 410 put wall, hedge wall. Acted as support for a while this morning. Now Netflix moved lower and maybe heading back up to that level. All right, let's take a look at at Meta now, since it reported earnings after the close yesterday. Truman says it blew earnings out of the water, and unfortunately for Meta, in a very bearish environment. Let's see what options traders are doing. Let's go back to Meta. And Meta, the hero signal, is kind of in the middle of the range. And note the 280 put wall support. Very nice bounce off the 280 put wall. Doing its job, acting as support as expected. And just a few minutes after touching that level, options traders start taking positive delta positions. All right, so that's Meta. Let's just see what traders are doing. And it appears to be when I switch to puts and calls, that's when that auto zoom happens. So both these are positive, or actually slightly negative. So they have been net selling calls, but also selling puts. So they're selling premium in Meta. All right, so that jump has something to do with changing to puts and calls, maybe back. All right, so the key for Meta was the 280 support level. All right, so support close at that level. Well, let's take a look at Amazon. Since Amazon does report earnings after the close today, we'll see how traders and options traders are positioning themselves before earnings. Kind of a choppy day in Amazon. Let's go take a look at Hero. Let's go to Amazon. So for the day, traders have been taking positive delta positions pretty much all day from the open in Amazon. Notional value positive 104 million. Let's just take a quick look at puts and calls. So they're selling puts and buying calls. 120 is the key gamma strike. Let's go back to Bookmap. There's the 120 key gamma strike. All right, let's Wavy wants to take a look at NVIDIA. We can do that. Choppy day in NVIDIA, mostly down. Let's take a look and see what options traders are doing. Go to NVIDIA. And mostly negative today. 420 is the hedge wall. Acted as resistance. Traders are selling calls and buying puts. Both the orange and blue line are negative. And it looks like they have taken their foot off the gas right around 1 o'clock and may be starting to take positive delta positions now. Let's go back to Bookmap. Remember 420. .420 is the hedge wall. Acted as resistance. Let's go back to Bookmap. So Nvidia overshot it a little bit this morning. Whoops. There's 420 acting as resistance. Looks like I need to have more levels down lower in Nvidia. And 400, note the high liquidity at that level. So far today acting as support. And this is showing limit buy orders in the order book, shown by the dark color, dark red color, thick band, a lot of resting limit buy orders at that level, typically in larger, higher price stocks at the zeros and the fives. Most typically comes in at the cash open right there, 9:30. Note there was some liquidity in the order book before the cash open at 400. So traders wanted to get long at 400. All right, any other stocks? Questions? All right, let's go take a look. Let's go back to this Magnificent Seven. So they continue to take net positive delta positions in the Magnificent Seven. Let's go take a look at the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. Let's go back to Bookmap. We'll start with NASDAQ. So NASDAQ may be finding some resistance at the 345 level. Take a look at ES. Still, it looks like ES has made its way through this liquidity at the 41.49 level and maybe finding the resistance at the lower daily expected move. So ES made it through these bands of liquidity. Slowly grinding higher. Let's go back to Hero and see what options traders are doing in the S&P 500. Oops. Go to the combined signal. So still net overall moving higher since about 12:30. Let's go back to Bookmap. So some consolidation at this cluster of levels and maybe moving lower now. Let's just check. Let's check volatility and check the 10-year. VIX futures. So maybe moving back higher now. Could be a bit of a headwind. All right, let's check. Let's actually go back to this chart. Let's chart and check the 10-year. Treasury yields moving higher, lower all day. Should be a tailwind. Down almost 2% for the day. And Slow Dazari says Amazon has earnings today, maybe some reaction. Yeah, I just talked about Amazon. We looked at Amazon in Bookmap and in Hero, and traders were taking positive delta positions into earnings this afternoon in Amazon. And certainly in the current environment, I do expect a reaction for Amazon, like all the other large cap tech stocks. Take a closer look. So it looks like around this level has been kind of a key level for VIX futures today. Let's go back to Bookmap. Go back to NASDAQ. So NASDAQ needs to overcome the 345 level to move higher, or find resistance at that level and move lower. And ES needs to overcome this cluster of levels with 41.49 on the bottom and the lower daily expected move above. Let's do a final check of Amazon. Let's take a look at a couple of things for Amazon. First of all, let's take a look at this earnings chart from Spotgamma. Here's Amazon. Also, Intel reports today. Amazon, the expected move is 6.85%, plus or minus 6.85%. Let's go back and see what options traders are doing. Amazon. So continue to take positive delta positions. Now Amazon appears to be struggling at the 120 key gamma strike, but traders continue to take positive delta positions. Let's go back to Bookmap. So here's the 120 key gamma strike. All right, so I believe that the only remaining member of the Magnificent Seven to report earnings is Apple. Maybe somebody can correct me on that. I think, of course, Tesla and Netflix reported last week. Let me just check. So Tesla and Netflix reported last week. NVIDIA has yet to report. So Apple and NVIDIA. And Amazon, here it is, Goker, Amazon reports after the close today. Take one last look at the S&P 500. Still trying to break above those levels. All right, my time is up. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you for your questions and comments. Remember, tomorrow, PCE data at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Amazon reports after the close today, 6.85% plus or minus expected move. All right, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.